Qantas turns away 2-year on-care flight. Looking to get this the attention it deserves, please help. Context: my little boy suffered burns to his forearm and hand, and in consultation with our local hospital and the burns unit at the Queensland Children's Hospital, the decision was made to book him on a care flight through QLD Health. I received the booking reference yesterday from QLD Health inclusive of booking reference numbers. I arrived at the airport this am to be told that Qantas had cancelled the tickets because of a payment discrepancy from QLD Health. I pleaded my case and that of my son, begged for business to be put aside and offered to put a credit card on file until they could sort it out with QLD Health. To no avail, and to be honest, I don't think they could have helped even if they had wanted to because of their codes of practice. So ultimately, our seats on the flight have been left vacant and my son will not make his appointment at the burns has lost its soul and has forgotten that it was bailed out by all of Australia very recently. Help me shed some light on their lack of humanity. Update: thank you all for sharing widely. I have been contacted by more than a few news outlets and I will make a decision about which one to speak with. Contact the media. ABC would probably have a field day with it. I am sorry you're going through this and I hope your little one has a speedy recovery. QA not the arsehole needs to remove the Spirit of Australia tagline. They are currently very far from deserving to use those words. Qantas hasn't had a soul in decades. From the top to the bottom no one cares. We all hope you little fella gets the attention and medical care he needs and gets better soon. Alan Joyce is a soulless, virtue-signalling pos who didn't give a damn about workers and blamed travellers for airport delays, so none of this is the least bit surprising. Go to the press with it. Qantas deserves all the bad publicity it can get. Honestly, the Brisbane Reddit thread is regularly used as content for the Courier Mail etc. post there. They use it as a source of stories all the time. I always wondered where our publicly owned stock from that investment went. With the way Qantas is going, I would put money on it not being a payment discrepancy, but they oversold the fight and both of you got shafted. Those seats were not vacant on takeoff. And with their new CEO being the ex-chief financial officer, they will continue to put money before all else. I will never fly Qantas again after the shit they pulled during the pandemic. I was an Aussie trapped overseas, and after they took millions in handouts from the government, they fired thousands and still had the gall to try charging desperate people $15,000 per person for an economy seat with no food beverage service for the safety of our staff. Not the first time something like this has happened. A man who had been waiting for over 2 years for a double lung transplant was denied getting on a flight from Adelaide to Sydney and missed out on donor lungs. RAB House. When Joyce came in, it became about filling his pockets and nothing else. He took the heart and soul away from Qantas. Go to the media. They always watching and reading over these subs. Hit them up. Sorry this happened. Hope it gets sorted soon and your son gets the care he deserves. I'm sorry this happened to you. I can't imagine having an injured 2-year-old and being turned away. Where was the flight to? Can the destination clinic hospital help with making alternate arrangements? Straight to the press. Seek legal advice if your child was forced to go through extra suffering because of having to wait. Absolutely infuriating. Who cares what red tape is involved, and on top you even offered credit card details. Shocking behavior. I know it makes little difference, but I won't be flying with Qantas ever again. Good luck with your young fella. Write this on Twitter with Qantas. Our soul. That's Joyce for you. Soon to be replaced, but don't expect any improvements. Hi. I stopped using Qantas for personal travel since 2010. They have long lost their soul. There is nothing Spirit of Australia about them. There's a private FB group called Qantas Customers Hints, Tips, Questions and Gripes. Joining is simple. On the main page are email addresses for senior QF execs and some executive assistants. Cross-post this to the Brisbane Reddit. The Brisbane Times gets all their content from there. There really are some sad sacks within the airline industry that could do well with some empathy training. Name and shame the individuals within the company, otherwise the gnome will do nothing. FYI, I've never seen these codes of practice that would prevent a child in need from flying. I call BS on behalf of all of the traveling public. Can't think of one redeeming quality of that business. What tossers. Ever since the poison dwarf, Joyce, came into power at QF, the business has turned to shit. They are extremely bottom line driven and don't give a crap about people, just ask their staff. Contact every single media outlet you can. This is beyond a joke. I know the appointment is missed, but if you get a new date I'm happy to cover flights if you need. Poor baby. My boy had terrible burns as a 1-year and I know how helpless and horrible you must be feeling. This must have made things 1,000 times worse. Sending hugs from Sydney. X. I dunno. I feel like this is more Queensland Health than Qantas. If QLD Health had paid for or subsidised a rental car, and the payment hadn't gone through to the rental company, I doubt that the rental company would give out a car. QH should have ensured that the payment and tickets were absolutely secure. Joyce acts like a 2-year, you'd think he'd have compassion. While I never had the stakes you had, I remember the Jetstar delaying my flight for 5 hours, only to tell us that we can't bring any of our bags because of a stuck baggage offloader at the arrival. Then, they took their time with it, only giving our bags 3 days later, basically ruining my 4-day holiday to Queensland. I had to buy everything in an overpriced souvenir shop. X200B. It's safe to say that Qantas is no longer the spirit of Australia. I hope your son gets the medical care he deserves. They need to stop using the spirit of Australia. Hey newspapers. You're always ripping stuff from Reddit. This one we want you to take a run with, please. Talk to QLD Health and see what happened. Could be legit, could be Qantas. Call the emergency travel number on the itinerary. If you don't have an itinerary, please call the hospital switchboard. I'm not sure why Qantas is copying it. Apparently QLD Health didn't pay for the flight, so some poor Qantas desk staff has to work out what the hell to do. Essentially, someone is turning up at the plane to board without a valid ticket. Qantas staff aren't going to have the authority to just wave them on board, as the plane is boarding. QLD Health are the professionals in the situation dealing with the burns patient, not their fault for not organizing it properly. The Flying Capitalist. Do a public post to Qantas on Facebook and watch the traction it starts getting, and before you know it, you'll be doing a morning interview with Carl. Contact whoever is the noisiest person on Radio A, picks up a cause and runs with it. I'm thinking someone like Ray Hadley, not sure if he is heard in QLD though. You don't have time to wait for a news article to be researched and written, published etc., hoping this all works out for you and your little one recovers well. How many times has Qantas been bailed out by the government? Nationalize it and these cowardly actions don't happen. This is plain bullshit. The outgoing CEO takes 24 mil and the airline couldn't consider the life of a 2-year-old. This certainly needs media coverage. ABC. Please do it through ABC if they're one of them. They will be the most legit in getting your story without sensationalizing it and will share the footage. BTW, an old GF, is a travel agent who shocked me 20 years ago when she casually referred to Qantas as cunters. To this day she never uses that language, but under Jeff Dixon she saw that organization change from help first, ask questions later to yeah. So many good people left because of that. And Dixon developed his chosen successor via several positions including running Jetstar before handing over to him. Alan Joyce. When did this country turn into so fucking heartless and full of people who only care about the bottom dollar? What the hell were they thinking? I've seen companies go broke after a stunt like this, due to an outrage from the community and thus a boycott. They need to stop thinking locally and start realizing that everything they do can be broadcast to the world by anyone. Actually impossible for the gate agents to check you in, the ticket wouldn't have been issued. No ticket, no fly. The systems won't allow it. Literally impossible for QF to get you on the flight. They can't issue the ticket as it would have been made via a corporate agent account. I'd be putting your anger towards the QLD Health and their corporate travel agent. Source: travel agent working in the health sector. Indeed, not handled very well by Qantas, but this looks more like a problem of QLD Health. Shame on both of them whilst a child is suffering. Profits over people. Joyce probably. Alan Joyce is an absolute cunt. So QLD Health have a payment issue with their agent, and the ticket wasn't paid for, and the fault is on Qantas? Send this to the ABC. QA not the arseholes, you are horrific. Fuck Qantas. I worked for them for 6 years and refused to fly with them after multiple blunders as a full fee paying passenger. Virgin all the way. That's horrifying. Definitely complain to all relevant channels. I would go with the ABC as commercial channels might have a conflict of interest in their reporting if sponsored or advertising Qantas. Far out. Take it to the media. A current affair will froth this. Watch QA not the arseholes backpedal. Has forgotten that it was bailed out by all of Australia very recently. They ever took those billions with nothing more than wanton greed, entitlement, and bad faith. They didn't forget. They just don't care. As many have stated. Please report this for the media to have a field day if you have the energy for it. Nothing better than having things like this thrown back on their corporate greedy ass faces. The news will have a lot of fun with this story.